Welcome to Taste Desire, where fictional breaks the silence and emotion break through every word. Here, love is twisted, pain is personal, and nothing is ever as simple as black and white. If you crave a story that hit you hard, stay with you long, and leave you breathless, you are exactly where you need to be. So take a deep breath, press play, and let the obsession begin.
First month anniversary night. That night, Tae's desire to claim her passionately was overwhelming. He longed for intimacy with her so badly that nothing else mattered, until he noticed her body trembling uncontrollably, her skin warm and damp with sweat. Her reaction, so visceral and unexpected, made him suspect that perhaps she was acting. Unable to be certain, he abruptly pulled back. At that moment, Tae grew deeply frustrated by what he perceived as Yn's confusing behavior. He longed not to hurt her but to shower her with genuine care and unconditional love. Unable to bear the sight of her distress, Tae reluctantly left the room. His heart ached at the thought that his actions, intended to bring her comfort, had only deepened her pain. Left alone, Yn lay on the bed, hugging her knees, and her quiet sobs filled the silence. Tae, irritated by her continuous tears, barked out in frustration, "Please, just be quiet. I'm not doing anything further, so why must you cry?" His words, harsh and laced with exasperation, fell against her vulnerable state. Even as Yn tears persisted, Tae's silent presence had once been a promise of gentle solace. In the midst of this turmoil, she clung desperately to him, her eyes pleading for understanding. When Taehyung looked into her face, he saw it flushed red, etched with both pain and desire. Gently removing a stray lock of hair from her damp face, he softly inquired, "Why are you reacting this way? Why do you seem so unsettled?" For a long moment, Yn could not respond. Overwhelmed by conflicting sensations, she sought refuge in the familiarity of Tae's presence. In a moment of raw desperation, she whispered, "Please don't leave me, I need you." Her attempt to close the distance through a tender kiss was quickly interrupted when Taehyung pulled away, urging her to stop. "Just stop," he said, his tone hardening with conflicted emotion. Yet even that plea did little to quiet her trembling as she instinctively searched for relief by drawing closer to Tae. Anger mingled with sorrow in Tae's eyes as he firmly held her hands and demanded, "What is your problem? Why are you acting like this?" In that charged instant, as he saw the intensity in her flushed, sweating face, his attitude shifted to concern. He brushed away the evidence of her distress and asked gently, "Why are you so agitated?" But Yn, barely able to speak through her sobs, could only cling to the fleeting comfort of Tae's reassuring gaze. Deep down, Tae recognized that Yn's state was more than just the result of a little wine. Her body betrayed a longing, an overwhelming need for relief and closeness, that she could not control on her own. Though she struggled to speak, her every movement and tear told a tale of someone desperate for solace from an inner ache that words could not capture. In the ensuing moments, the night unfolded as a painful ballet of passion and fragility. Yn's body sought comfort in every possible way, even when her touch, meant to soothe, spoke of an agony too deep for her to fully understand. Tae, determined to ease her suffering, continued to offer gentle care, carefully guiding her with both tenderness and urgency. His every gesture was an unspoken promise to protect her, even as the situation teetered on the brink of chaos. Throughout those long hours, the room bore witness to a harrowing mixture of intense desire and profound vulnerability. Yn's need for relief was palpable, yet every attempt to find it seemed to blur the line between passion and pain. Tae's care, though sincere and heartfelt, could only do so much to ease the overload of sensations that overwhelmed her. When the night finally began to fade, the imprint of that tumultuous time remained. It was a night marked by a collision of deep emotions, desire, regret, and the aching need for healing, a night where passion met its limits and left behind an echo of longing that none could easily forget. Next morning, the morning sun peeked through the curtains, casting a soft glow over the room. Yn blinked, her eyes open slowly, her body feeling lighter than yesterday. The feverish heat, the trembling, it was all gone now. The medicine had finally done its job. Still lying in bed, she reached out for her phone. The moment she switched it on, her breath hitched. Multiple missed calls. Dozens of messages. All from Shalya and Jimin. Her hands shook slightly as she opened Shalya's chat. YN, please call me as soon as you can. I'm coming to Korea. YN stared at the screen, her heart pounding. She's coming here. Before she could even reply, her screen went black. Battery dead. She whispered under her breath, pressing the power button in frustration. But it was too late. Just then, she heard movement outside. Taehyung was awake. Panicked, she placed the phone back on the table and quickly got out of bed. She didn't want him to see her anxious like this. She walked straight into the kitchen, pretending to be busy with breakfast. Her hands moved mechanically, eggs, toast, tea, but her mind was spinning. If Shalya came now, if she showed up in front of Tae. She didn't even want to imagine the consequences. Tae had already distanced himself after what happened last night. His silence was louder than any words. Though he brought her medicine, food, and everything she needed, he hadn't looked at her the same since. He was hurt. She could feel it in the way he avoided her eyes. She could feel it in the way his footsteps lingered near her but never stopped. Soon, both of them sat at the dining table. The air was quiet, too quiet. YN fidgeted with her spoon for a few seconds before clearing her throat nervously. Will you be working from home today too? Tae raised an eyebrow and looked at her, amused. Why, you need me again? His tone was teasing, but there was an edge of sarcasm beneath it. If you ask nicely, hubby, I need you, I might think about staying. YN looked down immediately, cheeks burning. And no, it's not that. I just thought you had office work. Important meetings and all. He leaned back in his chair, his gaze darkening slightly. Thanks to you, I had to cancel everything yesterday. So yeah, today's going to be hectic. YN quietly nodded. Good. He should go. She wanted him out for a few hours, not because she didn't want him near her, but because she needed to avoid another explosion if Shalya came knocking. Taehyung returned to his breakfast without another word. But her heart was already bracing for what the rest of the day might bring. Evening time. After finishing breakfast, Tae left for the office. YN finally took a deep breath, a breath of relief. For the first time in hours, she felt like she could breathe. She wasn't sure why, maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the space. Time skip, evening. YN sat alone in the living room, nervously glancing at the clock. She was waiting for someone. Her eyes kept flickering between the door and her phone. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. She immediately stood up and rushed to the door, a faint smile appearing on her lips. But the moment she opened it, her smile vanished. Her heart dropped. It wasn't Shalya. It was Tae. His eyes instantly picked up on her frozen expression. Tae, raising an eyebrow. Were you expecting someone else? YN, startled, trying to stay calm. And no, it's nothing like that. Tae, you opened the door so fast. From the look on your face, it seems like you were already standing near it. YN, fumbling. I was just walking around the hall. That's all. But, how are you home so early? You usually come back late. Tae didn't answer. Instead, he stepped forward, wrapped his arm around her waist, and pulled her into a sudden kiss. Tae, whispering against her lips. How can I focus at work when my hot wife is waiting at home? YN's cheeks flushed as she looked away. Tae, did you eat lunch? YN, softly. No. Tae, frowning. You skipped it again. Why? YN, I just wasn't feeling hungry. He cupped her cheek gently, eyes filled with quiet concern. Tae, I knew it. That's why I came. After those drugs, your body's already weak. You can't keep skipping meals. YN looked down, hesitating. She bit her lip, then looked up at him, voice trembling slightly. YN, Tae, I need to tell you something. Tae, curious. What is it? YN, nervous. Promise me first, you won't get angry. Tae, suspicious. That depends. What's the topic? YN, pleading. Please, just promise me. I'm really scared to say it otherwise. He studied her for a second, then smirked. Tae, teasing. And what will I get in return for not getting mad? YN hesitated, then whispered. YN. Whatever you say, I'll do it. I promise. Just, please don't get mad today. His smirk grew wider. TAE. You'll really do whatever I say? YN nodding. Yes. Promise. TAE sighs. Alright then. Tell me. YN took a shaky breath. YN. My friend is coming over, here. To my place. TAE. Don't tell me it's that friend, the one who gave you drugs. Shalya. YN said nothing. She just slowly nodded. TAE closed his eyes, rubbing his temples as frustration built in his chest. TAE muttering. How dare she even think about stepping into this house? YN desperate. TAE, please. You promised me you wouldn't get angry. Please. Just then, the doorbell rang again. YN reached out, gently placing her hand on his chest. YN softly. Please, just stay calm. Be polite when you see her. For me, please. Ding dong. YN walked toward the door and opened it, her face lighting up at the sight of Shalya. YN smiling. You're finally here. But the smile faded. Instantly. Her breath caught in her throat. Because standing beside Shalya was Jimin. Her ex. The air grew heavy. YN mind racing. Oh God, what do I do now? Still trying to keep her composure, YN stepped aside and let them in. YN voice low and hesitant. Come in, please. She led them into the living room, but her steps quickened as soon as she spotted Taehyung standing by the shelf, sipping water, completely unaware. She rushed to his side, planting herself right next to him like a shield. Tae's eyes shifted lazily toward the entrance. And then they landed on Jimin. And just like that, the calm in his face shattered. His jaw clenched. His fingers tightened around the glass. His nostrils flared. He was ready to explode. YN gripping his arm tightly, whispering. TAE, please. You promised me. Whatever you're thinking, it's not like that. Please trust me. He looked down at her, his chest rising and falling fast, fists trembling. But her eyes, those pleading, honest eyes. They pulled him back. Barely. Taehyung exhaled hard, forcing himself to stay still. YN gently stepped forward and smiled nervously. YN. TAE, this is Shalya, my best friend. Shalya smiled warmly. Hi, finally meeting famous husband. But then Jimin stepped forward, holding out his hand toward TAE with a casual smirk. Jimin. Nice to meet you, Taehyung. TAE didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't even breathe. His eyes burned into Jimin's like daggers. But then, YN softly nudging him, whispering. Please. With great effort, TAE reached out and took Jimin's hand. But not gently. He gripped it tight. Too tight. Jimin winced immediately. Jimin hissing under his breath. Ah. YN. TAE. Let go. TAE finally released it. Slowly. His stare still firm. Later that evening, dinner time. The dinner table was set beautifully, food laid out, laughter echoing lightly between Shalya and Jimin. But Taehyung, silent, observing, calculating, fuming inside. Every time Shalya leaned closer to YN. Every time Jimin made her laugh. Every time she touched her arm casually. Tae's lips thinned a little more. Shalya teasing YN. Still the same YN who can't boil water without burning the kitchen. YN laughing. Hey, that happened only once. Jimin smirking. I remember that. I had to order emergency ramen. Taehyung's fork clanked a little too hard against his plate. Taehyung coldly. Wow, so many shared memories. I feel honored. Everyone paused. Shalya raised a brow. Jimin awkwardly sipped water. YN gave TAE a small nudge under the table. YN whispering. Behave. Shalya lightening the mood. I will be glad if she's in better hands now. Taehyung glancing at Shalya, then YN. Are you not sure about that? His voice was cold, but YN felt the weight in his words. She glanced at him, his fingers curled tight, eyes burning with silent jealousy. But she couldn't help the little smile tugging at her lips. Because he cared too much. And she could feel it in every breath he took. After dinner, in the bedroom. The sound of laughter faded behind the bedroom door as YN quietly stepped in, closing it behind her. Taehyung was already inside, his back to her, slowly unbuttoning his shirt. But the tension in his shoulders, the silence in the air. It said everything. Taehyung was lying on the bed in his room, both arms bent, with his elbows resting against his forehead. YN, gently. Tae, I know you're mad. He didn't turn. Taehyung quiet, too calm. I'm not mad. He was lying. She could hear it in the way his voice trembled just a little. YN, walking closer. Then talk to me. Taehyung lay on the bed, arms folded under his head, eyes closed as if the weight of the world rested there. His voice broke the silence, low, calm, but unmistakably commanding. Taehyung, lock the door. YN froze. Her fingers trembled around the edge of her dress. YN, nervously. TTAE. Taehyung, firmly. I said, lock it. His tone left no room for argument. Hesitating only a moment longer, she slowly turned around and locked the door behind her. The click echoed in the room like a final decision. Taehyung, without looking at her. Come here. Her breath caught. But she obeyed. Each step toward him was careful, hesitant. The air between them heavy, charged with something unspoken. She stopped when she reached the edge of the bed. He didn't move, didn't look at her. But his words, they shook her. Taehyung, calmly. You remember your promise, don't you? A flash of memory hit her, her voice, shaky but determined. If you don't get angry, I'll do whatever you say. She swallowed. YN, softly. Yes, I remember. TAE, good. A beat passed. She did as he silently asked, heart pounding, shame flooding her cheeks. Vulnerable, exposed. Yet, she trusted him. She can face his anger but not the displeasure. YN, barely above a whisper. It's done. Still, he didn't look at her. Still, his hand stayed above his head. Taehyung, voice unreadable. Her heart stopped. YN, stammering. W what? Here. On your, she asked innocently, widening her eyes pointing to his lap. Taehyung, cutting her off. Did I say my lap? She stared at him, confused. Lost. YN. Then, where? Finally, his eyes met hers. Cold, steady. Taehyung, quietly. My face. The room spun. Her knees weakened. She didn't speak. She couldn't. His gaze didn't ask for permission. It demanded surrender. Taehyung looked at her, his eyes dark, but not angry anymore. Just aching. Like he was holding back a storm with everything he had. YN looked into his eyes. He wasn't demanding. He was waiting. And for the first time in a long time, she wasn't scared of the fire in him. Because tonight, she wanted to burn with him, not out of pain, but out of want. That was all he needed. He leaned forward, his forehead brushing against hers, their breaths mingling. His hands found her waist, gentle this time, pulling her into his lap like she was the most fragile thing in the world. Their lips met, slow, aching, like a promise being rewritten. She whispered between kisses, voice low, ragged. YN, it's weird. His fingers threading through her hair. TAE, it's Haven. His grip on her tightened just slightly, chest rising and falling against hers. He kissed her again, this time deeper, as if trying to erase the space that had grown between them. One hand traced her back, the other cupped her jaw, guiding, not forcing. They moved together slowly, sensually. No rush, no pressure, only the raw, silent language of two hearts trying to find their rhythm again. This wasn't about proving anything. It was about feeling everything. The jealousy, the pain, the love that still pulsed in every breath they shared. Taehyung finally facing her, voice low but sharp. Why didn't you tell me Jimin was coming? YN. Because I didn't know. Shalya brought him, I was just as shocked as you. Taehyung clenching his jaw. But you still let him in. Smiled at him, laughed with him, like nothing ever happened between you two. YN. I was trying to be civil, trying not to make it a scene. Taehyung, bitter laugh. Oh, so I'm the problem for wanting to throw him out of the house he has no right to be in. YN. No, I'm just saying. Taehyung cutting her off, stepping closer. I saw the way he looked at you, like he still thinks you belong to him. His voice cracked. YN, softly. But I don't, TAE. That made him stop. His eyes flickered with pain, real, deep, aching pain. Like he wanted to believe her but didn't know how. Taehyung, whispering. Then why do I feel like I'm constantly fighting ghosts I can't see? She slowly placed her hand on his chest, over his heart. YN, voice shaking. Because you're afraid of losing me. But Tae, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. He looked down, lips parted, breathing heavy. Her touch calmed him, but the storm in his eyes hadn't faded. Taehyung, barely a whisper. I hate feeling like this, like he still has some part of you that I don't. YN, stepping even closer to his face. He doesn't. Not anymore. A beat of silence. YN. And you're the one who stayed when I was hard to love. Taehyung finally broke. He pulled her into his arms, burying his face into the crook of her neck. No words. Just breath. Just warmth. Just pain. Taehyung, muffled. Just tell me you don't want him back. YN, whispering against his chest. I don't. I never did. His arms tightened. He wasn't just holding her, he was holding on. To love. To hope. To the version of her that was healing inside his touch. Meanwhile, in the guest room, Shalya sat on the couch, sipping tea. Jimin looked out the window, silent. Shalya, curious. So, you still have feelings for her? Jimin, without looking. Did I ever stop? Shalya. That's dangerous. He's not the same Taehyung she dated before. He'd burn you alive in front of YN if you ever tried to take her away from him. He can go to any extent. Jimin, smiling faintly. I'm not afraid of the fire. I'm just scared that in Taehyung's flames, YN might be the one who gets burned. Next morning, in Taehyung's bedroom, the soft morning light spilled through the curtains as YN stood in front of Taehyung, carefully tying his tie. Her fingers trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of everything unsaid. Taehyung watched her in silence. There was something fragile about her today. Just then, a knock echoed on the bedroom door. They both turned. It was Shalya. Shalya gave YN a small smile, then glanced briefly at Taehyung. Are you free for a minute? I need to talk. Just us. I'm leaving with Jimin soon, and I didn't want to go without speaking to you. Taehyung respected the moment, gently placing a kiss on YN's forehead before heading downstairs for breakfast. In the guest room, YN closed the door behind them, facing her friend. Shalya looked genuinely concerned. Have you made a decision yet? I sent you the divorce papers already. I'm only here for you. I'm worried, tell me honestly, is Taehyung forcing you into anything? Is he pressuring you to be intimate? YN hesitated. Her voice was barely above a whisper. He's not forcing me, not really. But, he's scared of losing me. And that fear, it makes him desperate sometimes. Shalya sat down, visibly tense. And the divorce? Have you talked to him yet? No, admitted. Not yet. I don't want to leave him like last time. If I walk away again, I don't think he'll survive it. I've decided I won't leave until someone else comes into his life, someone who truly loves him, heals him, and makes him smile again. Shalya stared at her. And until then, I just need a little more time to think. That's all. Shalya sighed. All right. I'll be here for a month for medical training. That gives you some space. She paused, looking at YN more closely. By the way, did you take those hormone pills I suggested you? You look really weak. YN nodded slowly. Her eyes darkened. That night, I don't remember much. I took a double dose. All I remember is Taehyung. He stayed with me. He helped me when my body couldn't handle the heat. He was so angry when he found out I'd taken the meds, but he didn't leave my side. Shalya's voice cracked. YN, are you insane? What if something had happened to you? It wouldn't, said quietly. Taehyung wouldn't let anything happen to me. After our anniversary night, even though he was upset, he cared for me like I was the most fragile thing in the world. Shalya softened a little. So, you really want to stay with him? I do, said, her voice certain now. Shalya nodded, but her tone turned serious. Then you need to be honest with him, He deserves to know the truth. That you can't be intimate the way he might want. That you might never give him children. That your relationship may never look like a normal husband-wife one. YN looked down at her hands. I have a plan. And if that plan fails, then I'll tell him everything. And it'll be up to him, what he chooses next. Shalya studied her for a moment, then finally gave a small nod. All right. Let's see where this goes. Later, Jimin and Shalya left the house. Taehyung, after one last glance at YN from the doorway, quietly left for the office. And YN. She stood there, her heart heavy yet strangely calm. The clock was ticking. But for now, she still had time. Taehyung's office party, emotional twist. The office was buzzing with celebration. The new project had finally been completed, ahead of all rival companies. Taehyung had poured his heart and soul into it, and tonight's party was in his honor. Everyone cheered, music played, and champagne flowed like rain. Tae wanted to go home. He missed YN, craved her comfort. But Tia, always too close these days, placed a hand on his arm and smiled sweetly. Just for tonight, Tae. You deserve this, she said, eyes too soft, too lingering. He hesitated, then nodded. Maybe one night wouldn't hurt. As the evening grew louder, so did Taehyung's laughter. His heart was light, half because of the project's success, half because he remembered YN's promise that she wouldn't return to Jimin. Those thoughts made him drink more than usual. One glass turned into many. He laughed, clinked glasses, and in his mind, she appeared. YN. Her smile, her scent, the way she had once kissed him shyly. How she gave herself to him, trusted him when she was scared of love itself. The way her lips trembled when they kissed. God, he missed her. And suddenly, without even realizing, he leaned forward, and kissed the lips in front of him. Only, it wasn't YN. His eyes flew open. Tia. He immediately pulled away, shocked and furious. Taehyung disgusted. Tia, what the hell are you doing? Have you lost your mind? You know I'm committed to someone else. How could you even think this is okay? Tia, equally drunk, stumbled forward emotionally. Tia, why, Taehyung? Why do you love her so much? She's always ready to leave you at the drop of a hat. But I've loved you from the moment I saw you. I just never said it, until now. He stepped back, shaking his head in disbelief. Taehyung, this was all a fake relationship, remember? Just a plan to make YN jealous. You knew that. Tia's voice trembled as tears welled in her eyes. Tia, yes, but I couldn't help myself. She pushed me into it, your precious wife. She told me that if I could make you fall for me, really fall, she'd give you up without a fight. Taehyung's eyes widened. Taehyung, what are you saying? Tia reached into her purse with shaky hands and pulled out a crumpled envelope. Inside were papers, with YN's signature. Tia choking up divorce papers. Signed by her own hands. She gave them to me, said if I could win you, you'd be mine. And she'd walk away forever. Taehyung froze. Taehyung whispers, no, you're lying. She would never. Tia, you once said you trusted me more than anyone, even her. Do you still believe that? He stared at the papers in silence, his heart cracking piece by piece. Taehyung, numb, this can't be real. Tia stepped closer, placing the papers in his trembling hands.
This story doesn't end here. If you felt something, cried, screamed, just got goosebumps, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Taste Desire. Your support means the world. Hit the bell so you never miss the next breakdown, breakthrough. Until then, stay safe and stay obsessed.